The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate it all. Zelensky is doing everything possible to spread the Russia-Ukraine war to the shores of Africa. According to reports, Zelensky strike Senegal. The coast of Senegal didn't know peace because Zelensky decided to attack a ship that was carrying oil. So they decided to attack the ship with 4 explosions on the sea. A Turkish-owned Merson, which was sailing under a Panamanian flag and carrying nearly 39,000 tons of fuel, was hit from outside by 4 explosions. The ship operator, Besiktas Shipping, confirmed on Monday no one on board was hurt. The situation was immediately brought under control, and we confirmed that all crew members are safe. There are no injuries, no loss of life, no pollution, Besiktas Shipping said in a statement. The company added that the cause of the explosion remained unclear. Suspicion immediately fell on Ukraine, which has not claimed responsibility for the attack. Kiev's silence is unsurprising. The oil tanker is not on any list of sanctioned vessels. This is amazing how these people are just trying to make sure that they spread the war to Africa. Zelensky hasn't been able to control this in Ukraine, but is trying to involve other nations by trying to make sure that this war escalates. And this is very sad that we are seeing this thing happening all the way from Europe to the soil of Africa. And these are the things that we need Africans to come together to fight against, because we cannot continue to allow other people to use us.
Ukraine Security Services says it hit 2 oil tankers in the Black Sea, ships that are part of Russia's shadow fleet and help it keep funding its war machine. This video purports to show Ukraine carrying out the attack with sea drones. The first report of a hit came on an oil tanker called the Kairos that happened about 50 kilometers off the coast of Turkey in the Black Sea. Then a little further to the east, the crew on board another ship, the Virat, reported getting hit twice. The damage in that case was more minor. At the time, the tankers weren't loaded with oil, but they were on the way to Russia. Both of the ships have been sanctioned by the West, including by Canada in Virat's case. After Moscow launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the West tried to restrict its abilities to sell oil, so it started sanctioning ships.
Going after Russia's shadow fleet remains a priority. Slowing down the shadow fleet costs Russia revenues.
Russia turned to a shadier group of vessels. They change flags a lot, they don't use conventional insurance, and often disguise their movements.
The Russian shadow fleet has become almost a tumor on global shipping. The moment any given vessel is taken out of the shadow fleet, some ship owner somewhere will sell another vessel into the shadow fleet. It's a parallel system, and it seems impossible to get rid of it.
Ukraine says the oil that moves through the shadow fleet is allowing Moscow to keep attacking Ukraine, which is why Kyiv said it struck the ships and why it's been carrying out attacks on Russia's energy industry.
On the night of November 27th through the 28th, the MT Merson, which is a Panamanian-flagged oil and chemical tanker built in 2009, issued a distress signal while anchored approximately 24 kilometers off the coast of Dakar, Senegal, in the North Atlantic. The crew reported seawater entering the engine room through a hull breach, causing the vessel to list heavily toward the stern and begin sinking. And now, on November 30th, there's videos circulating all over social media and local news showing the ship partially submerged, abandoned, and tilting at a sharp angle with no visible crew activity on deck. All 19 to 25 crew members were reportedly safely evacuated by Senegalese rescue services with no injuries or fatalities reported, and apparently most of them were Russian nationals. Now, local Senegalese media, Turkish journalists, and open source intelligence analysts have speculated that the sinking resulted from an attack by uncrewed surface vessels commonly known as maritime drones or kamikaze boats, and a lot of them speculate that the Ukrainian security service or main Ukraine Directorate of Intelligence were the perpetrators. Now, so far, there's no confirmation that this happened, and Ukraine also has not taken responsibility for this particular one, but if they do, then that would mark the third such strike within the past week. Now, I want to leave you with this parting thought. How do you think this guy had the signal to FaceTime his buddy when he was 13 nautical miles out at sea? You think it was Starlink?
The explosions off Senegal's coast come during a mounting campaign of attacks against commercial ships suspected of belonging to Russia. Shadow fleet, aging commercial oil tankers with often opaque ownership structure used by Moscow to export its oil and gas and slip through Western sanctions. The EU, US, and UK have largely banned Russian oil imports, and companies based in G7 countries can only provide critical services such as insurance and transport for Russian oil being sold to third countries under a fixed price cap. This fits into the pattern of these vessels that have been attacked in a very similar fashion earlier this year, Sibel said. The target is actually Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso because they know that in Africa, these are the countries that are linked to Russia. They are the ones that we know that they are always with Russia, and they have moved away from the West to form alliance with Russia. And now they are asking people not to buy the Russian oil, but we are buying it in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso because we have decided to take our sovereignty into our own hands. So we decide what we think is best. So the best way to do this is to do what they have just done, to make sure that they spread this thing to African countries so that this oil will not land safely. But we are saying that as Africans, if we don't stop being divided, other people will continue to be using us for their own benefit, because we don't see why they have the right to target anything on the soil of Africa. But we have seen that our leaders, where they need to act, are always silent because of the way they have decided to move away from the Western influence to fight for the African liberation. And we cannot continue to allow these things to be happening. We saw that some time back, these same people that came out openly to claim responsibility of the attack that happened in Mali, and they sent them to the International Criminal Court, nothing happened. And that was why they decided that they were not going to be members of this organization. Because if somebody came out openly with a statement to claim responsibility of its actions, why would there be something against them and nothing will happen? But if it were to be an African country, these people would have been quick in coming in the name of trying to restore peace and order and whatever. It is very painful. So Africans, we are the ones that are always allowing ourselves to be kept in chains. And when we finish, we are the same people who will sit down and claim that we want to be free, and people are suppressing us, and this is the time for the Africans to control and take responsibility, and people don't have to be meddling and treating us like children. But we are the ones that are always treating ourselves like children because of the way we present ourselves to the rest of the world. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make African great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Senegal.